I was saying, y'all, it's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and man, I have a big update for y'all as far as this Terry McLaurin situation. We have multiple things. Like, I'm gonna go in chronological order of everything that went on throughout today, man. Because at first we were looking at one thing. Adam Schefter came out with this report for how much money Terry McLaurin was apparently asking for. We gotta dive into that. And then later on throughout the day, Courtland Sutton signed a new deal, and now we're looking at Terry a little crazy. Has he lost all of his leverage after the Courtland Sutton deal? Again, exactly how much per year is Terry McLaurin asking for according to Adam Schefter? We're going to dive into all of that and more. Of course, we got to if we're talking about Courtland Sutton, is Terry McLaurin a better player than Courtland Sutton? We're going to dive into literally everything, but before we do, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting every video, watching them all the way through, man. I feel the love. I can't wait to meet some of y'all and see some of y'all August 24th. Crystal City Sports Pub with me and the rest of the Commanders Kings for the live show we're going to do there. Make sure y'all pull up. Without further ado, let's go dive into the video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. And of course, I will give y'all a big update. You know how I do every practice. I'm giving y'all the clips and the analysis for every single position group and players and everything from today's training camp practice. So be on the lookout for that later on tonight. But right now, we're here to talk about Terry. Shouts out to Adam Schefter. He went on the Pat McAfee show this morning and dropped a few bombs, like bombshells, for Terry McLaurin. Of course, he talked about the Christian Wilkins situation. That's a whole nother piece of chaos in itself. And I tried to tell y'all a long time ago. People were looking at me crazy when I was talking about Christian Wilkins like 7 years ago. I remember on Clemson, but that's a whole nother story. But again, Terry McLaurin wise, Adam Schefter said, quote, Terry McLaurin is at Commander's camp, but he's not stepping foot onto the practice field. He's around his teammates and around their trainers, and that's basically it. He's there to sign things with the fans, chill, laugh it up with the players. He feels like he's still a part of the team in a way. He's holding in. He's avoiding fines. He's no longer getting fined. He's already up to like $800,000 worth of fines from not reporting to mandatory minicamp at all, not reporting to training camp so far until just yesterday. So Terry McLaurin got some money he owes the NFL and the Commanders right now, but it's cool. He's working on trying to get this new deal to where that money that he owes is just going to be pennies. He's going to laugh at those fines later on. That's what he's trying to accomplish right now. But at the same time, Pat McAfee also went on to say that, quote, it's up to the two sides to figure out a way to bridge their differences. As of today, I don't get the sense that anything is close. So basically, whatever Terry McLaurin is asking for and whatever Adam Peters is willing to give him, there's a large chasm in between. There's probably a difference of like $5 to $10 million. Like, it's probably literally up to $10 million worth of difference as far as what is being offered. And so right now, the separation between the Commanders and Terry, Adam Schefter said, it's been vast. So I would say it's up to the two sides to find a bridge for the differences. But I would say that DK Metcalf was the same draft class as Terry McLaurin. He got about $33 million per year. I wouldn't think Terry was willing to take less than that. And I think he wants considerably more than that. Now, what it comes in at, we'll wind up seeing. And just to take a break from the Adam Schefter quote just real quick, I think it's interesting that we're comparing Terry McLaurin to DK Metcalf right now because of draft class. We'll be comparing him to Courtland Sutton a little later in this video because of age. So just keep that in mind. Continuing with Adam Schefter's breakdown. Washington, they're not there right now. And they love Terry and value Terry McLaurin. But they love and value him at a different price than whatever he has in his head and what he's asking for. These two sides seem far apart on the deal. They don't seem close today, and I don't know how they're ever going to get that resolved and figured out, but these things usually find a way of working themselves out over time. But as of today, I don't get a sense that anything is close. So it's not sounding good. Now, again, Adam Schefter said towards the end of that typically, no matter how bad these things get, usually they figure these things out. The player and the team eventually just come to some type of mutual agreement. The contract gets done. You had Jamar Chase out here holding out for the entire training camp, and he feels like the reason that the Bengals had a slow start was because of that. I'm pretty sure Adam Peters and Terry McLaurin are both aware of that fact. You also have Trey Hendrickson out there, going crazy. So our situation is nowhere near as bad as says that. Again, remember, I want to keep reminding y'all, Myles Garrett didn't only request a trade, he wrote an entire letter that made it seem like I'm gone. Mentally, emotionally, I'm out of here. Like, I'm still technically physically on the team, but goodbye. I don't even want to talk money. I don't even want to think about a contract negotiation, a contract extension. I want out of here. I am done. And the next thing you know, a few weeks later, Myles Garrett signs large contract extension with the Cleveland Browns. Again, my point is, we're nowhere near as bad in the situation as that was even for them, and they still got a long-term extension done with him. But shouts out to Pat McAfee, because he said, quote, I think Terry wants more than DK Metcalf, and not only just more, considerably more. That's the exact quote, considerably more than DK Metcalf. That is very interesting. Again, Terry McLaurin and DK Metcalf come from the same 2019 draft class, and DK Metcalf just signed a deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason after the Steelers traded for him at an average annual value of $33 million. But the two are two different ages. Metcalf is 2 years younger, even though they do come from the same draft class. And I mean, when we're talking, let's look at the situation, man. Let's look at these contract rankings for wide receivers. Mind you, DK Metcalf is already, again, making nearly $33 million per year. If Terry McLaurin is asking for more than that, and not just more, considerably more, we have to assume that he's asking for at least minimum $34 million per year money, which is CeeDee Lamb, only $1 million behind Justin Jefferson, and then still in that ballpark and range, that tier of Jamar Chase. So Terry McLaurin is basically asking for top 3 wide receiver money right now. And if this is true, then I'm with Adam Peters, dog. I mean, I really want to pay Terry, but $34 million per year or more is taking it a little too far, dog. I'm not going to lie. And I do feel like Terry is better than DK Metcalf, but we shouldn't have to pay that much money because the Steelers overpaid for their receiver and that they traded for. They felt like after they traded for him, they were in an ugly situation where we have to pay him probably more than what the market says we should. So now, thanks to the Steelers, the Commanders are looking like, hey, wait a minute. Y'all out here paying this receiver $33 million per year. He doesn't necessarily deserve it, but that's what y'all did. That's where the market is now, huh? And then now our receiver, who's clearly better than DK Metcalf, is looking at that situation. Well, like, if he's getting 33, I deserve at least 34 or more. So thanks a lot, Steelers. You know, that stupid L that we took last year, that, man, if we just had robots as refs, we probably win that game. And then now this. So thanks a lot, and also for trading George Pickens to the NFC East. So now thanks a lot for that too, Steelers, man. So right now, they're starting to get on my bad side right now. But at the same time, when it comes to cap space, the difference between $30 million and $35 million really isn't as bad as it sounds and feels. I agree that I do not want to pay Terry that much, but I'm just playing a little devil's advocate right here, because at the same time, for example, right now, with the way that Adam Peters and Brandon Saulsnell have managed our salary cap so far, even though we're a Super Bowl contender, we still have $21 million sitting around right now this year, just sitting around. So you can kind of assume that the way that they handle their cap space and their contracts, we're always going to have some sort of money just sitting around in case of emergency. This may be break glass in case of emergency situation, but my point is they always find a way to stay well under the cap space. So I'm not worried about us paying Terry and then not being able to afford to pay other guys. We have this team that we are currently constructed right now. I mean, of course, when Jaden Daniels gets paid, it's going to eat up a lot of the cap space. That's a problem 3-4 years down the road. Terry McLaurin, he may not even be under contract by then. But my point is, no matter what, they always seem to find a way to keep us well under the cap space. We're always going to have extra money. So just go ahead and pay him, man. If it's a difference between $5 million or less, even though I don't want to pay him $35 million. But at the end of the day, if you have him signed and you feel like you overpaid for him, I don't think it's going to stop you from getting certain players that you want in free agency or keeping some of the guys that you want to keep. Because again, even after everything we just went through, we have $21 million just sitting on the side. Even after signing Von Miller, trading for Laramie Tunsil, bringing in Deebo Samuel for a quick 1-year prove-it deal, we still have $21 million just sitting to the side. I wouldn't be surprised if we have extra money sitting to the side in 2026, 2027. Then again, it gets weird when we get to Jaden Daniels, and I think that's where a lot of this apprehension is coming from. Maybe Terry wants a deal that takes him all the way through Jaden Daniels' extension, and right now, now the Commanders are probably preparing themselves for how much they'll have to pay Jaden Daniels when that time comes. But that extra $3 to $5 million more than likely won't hurt the Commanders in a noticeable way. But at the same time, the rebuttal to that, and how I actually really feel, is that if you set the precedent of overpaying for one player, then what's stopping you for overpaying from every player? Because now every other player is going to be like, hey, you overpaid for Terry at 30 years old. Why can't you overpay for me? I'm 27. And it'll basically turn into like some sort of a slippery slope. So now that we're right back at the very beginning, after going through that cycle of logic right there, both sides, paying Terry McLaurin $34 million a year or more is pretty crazy. I ain't gonna lie. But Colin and Mark Bullock bring up great points. All of this could just be a negotiation tactic from Terry McLaurin's camp. Colin Dunphy on Twitter at MofoPod said, I think when the team is offering much less, players and agents will demand much more. And then Mark Bullock replied, exactly. No negotiation starts at the point they actually want, because that sets the ceiling too low. Always ask for more and negotiate down to your number. So this could simply be Terry McLaurin asking for way more than he's actually willing to accept, and Adam Peters and those guys offering way less than what they're actually willing to pay him. And, you know, this is just the very beginning and the early stages of the contract negotiation, and we should pretty much just be patient and find calmness in the fact that at some point they're both gonna get off of their high horses and like, okay, we can meet in this middle. But if Terry is actually, for real, currently asking for $34 million a year or plus, then again, I'm questioning what are the Commanders offering right now. And so shouts out to Jay Daniels MVP, brings up a good point. My guess is that the team offered Terry McLaurin $25 to $27 million per year based off of the slight pay increase report that was reported by Jeremy Fowler. That because Jeremy Fowler said like over a week ago, the Commanders are only offering Terry McLaurin slightly more than what he's currently making on his deal that he's on right now before the extension. And he also said this would make sense as many have reported that the team and Terry's sides are far apart, like Adam Schefter just said recently. So maybe just hypothetically, just going off of what the sources are saying right now, even though I don't know how trustworthy these sources are, but apparently Terry McLaurin is asking somewhere $34 million or more, and the Commanders only offered him somewhere around $25 million or maybe slightly more than that. That's it. Probably $28 million or less. That's where the chasm is. Chasm, $28 million or less, and then the jump all the way to $34 million or more, they got to find somewhere in the middle. Maybe that's like $31 million per year, which I'm willing to offer him. But right now, neither side is budging to that point. That's too little for Terry, and that's too much from Adam Peters. Shouts out to Burgundy Blog. He said, I'm going to tell you what I think. I think Terry McLaurin did that little public negotiation at Eastern Motor Shoot, and then also, of course, he's been going to the Commanders practices and getting all of them to chant his name. I mean, it's not him asking for it, but they've been doing it. He's been on a PR run. And so now Peters is doing a little public negotiation tactic by sending information through Schefter on the Pat McAfee show this morning, where they're saying that Terry McLaurin is asking for this insane amount of money. So shouts out to, if that's true, shouts out to Adam Peters for fighting back the best way that he knows how. And shouts out to Bleeding Burgundy and Gold. He said AP saw that glaze fest from the fans at practice yesterday and had to put a stop to it. And so basically he's trying to turn the fans back against Terry and bring the fans back to his side by saying, okay, you're on Terry's side right now. I know you want him back, but did you know he's not signed long-term because he's asking for this ridiculous amount of money? And so now the fans are looking at Terry like, we was just chanting your name, but you asking for this amount of money. We kind of like, okay, wait a minute. So right now we are in a PR war right now, especially if Adam Peters actually did feed that information to Adam Schefter. And then we got the update that the Broncos and wide receiver Courtland Sutton are real close to a contract extension per Sean Payton. And then David Harrison quote tweeted that and said, must be nice. And I agreed. But the official report from Jordan Schultz was that the Broncos and wide receiver Courtland Sutton have made significant progress in recent days on a contract extension, and the belief is that a deal should get done sooner rather than later per multiple sources. Sutton's reps were in Denver working on it with Broncos officials. They were in the building together. Bleeding Burgundy and Gold quote tweeted that and said, what if AP was just waiting for this news to drop all along? Think about it. Maybe Adam Peters was like, hey, Courtland Sutton and Terry McLaurin, similar range of wide receiver, same age. Maybe we just wait for Courtland Sutton's deal to get done, then we can talk to Terry. We're not going to base it off of DK Metcalf. And the Steelers clearly overpaying for him from everybody's opinion. I'm pretty sure most people feel like, yeah, the Steelers paid that guy too much money. So we're actually going to acknowledge the real market, the true market that's set by Courtland Sutton eventually when that deal gets done. You never know. Maybe AP, still plugged in slightly with Denver. He used to work for them. He used to be a high-ranking team manager and team builder for those guys. He was the one that literally drafted Justin Simmons to the organization. He was there as a scout when Von Miller was there winning Super Bowls and everything like that. And all of the agents talk and all of that type of stuff. So he's probably already been keyed in to the whole Courtland Sutton situation behind the scenes. And maybe that's why he's been delaying this whole contract extension talk. And that's why he probably set the number where he did and was like, until we find out what Courtland Sutton's get paying, I'm not budging, Terry. Then after that, we can talk. Shouts out to Mike Hall of the Burgundy Zone podcast. He said this could be the comp contract-wise the team is looking at as far as Courtland Sutton's contract. Basically the same age, almost the same numbers, basically the same quarterback situations as well. Terry is better overall than Sutton, but still, this could be the market setter for Terry. And then shouts out to Disco. He said Terry's team definitely doesn't want this deal to drop first. If I'm Terry McLaurin, in my opinion, this is me, Rico of StreetScores speaking. If I'm Terry McLaurin, I'm trying to rush to get this contract done before Courtland Sutton does. Because what if he ends up low changing himself, which causes me to lose leverage, and now I'm getting low balled because you signed a low contract. And then just less than an hour later, after all of that, after all of those talks and the tweets and everything, and bad news struck for Terry and his camp. Because then Courtland Sutton, officially announced by Adam Schefter, agreed to a contract with the Broncos for an agreement of 4 years and $92 million on an extension, and that is it. Shouts out to Bleeding Burgundy and Go. He said, I know Terry want to beat the mess out of Courtland Sutton right now. I know Terry saw that news and that notification and was sick to his stomach. I know Terry's agent is sick to his stomach. That was even less than what I thought Courtland Sutton was going to get when I was breaking down everything that I just said a couple of minutes ago. And it's also been updated that he will get $41 million in guarantees, including $14 million this year and an extra $27 million worth of guarantees throughout the 4-year deal. And again, it's a $92 million extension overall. And shouts out to Disco. He said Peters could have been playing chess all along, waiting for this very deal. This deal, to them possibly, sets the market for Terry, like we just talked about earlier. Sutton just got a 4-year deal. And again, he's the same age as Terry. And Terry right now is apparently asking for, at worst, $33 million per year. But I'm thinking it's somewhere 34 or more based on what Adam Schefter said. But that could just all be a lot. But the point is, this man, Courtland Sutton, same age as Terry, just signed a $23 million per year deal. Just to let you know, that 4-year, $92 million deal ends up being $23 million per year. And I know Terry doesn't want that at all. That's literally what he's making right now before the contract extension. And so, of course, now there's a lot of people that view this situation like this. Shouts out to Burgundy Blog. He said, I must be far off the consensus on Terry, I guess, comparing to what other people think. I honestly think a lot of teams would have a hard time choosing between him and Sutton, and some would prefer Sutton. I think these are different but comparable players, and this AAV, mid-20s per, is the pool that we should be swimming in as far as Terry McLaurin's next contract. And then you have at Washington today. He said the Courtland Sutton deal should honestly give Washington more leverage in these negotiations. Look at these stats right here. Even though I don't agree, they have a point, especially with these stats. They are the same age. Terry McLaurin only had 1 more reception last year. He had 15 more yards. 5 more touchdowns is pretty significant, but it's not like this ridiculous difference. Yards per game, very close. Catch percentage, better. 10% is a pretty significant margin there as well. I feel like the touchdowns and the catch percentage, if anything, if you're Terry McLaurin, you're like, hey, I'm better than this guy by that much. Everything else you can kind of throw out the window. Age, receptions, yards, and yards per game don't really help Terry McLaurin's case at all. And also goes and helps the people that are saying what I just told y'all with Burgundy Blog and Washington Today. And Rio Robinson said Peters couldn't wait till this contract was hitting the streets. Holy AP leverage. Now, I do agree that this does give AP more leverage than what he had before this Courtland Sutton deal got signed. Now, I do not agree with the fact that Courtland Sutton is the same player as Terry McLaurin. I feel like the eye test clearly tells you that Terry McLaurin is better, and on top of that, Terry is far healthier. Terry hasn't missed a game since 2020. The last 4 years, he has played in every single game available. That's way more than what you could say for Courtland Sutton. He started in technically 13 games, but played all 17 last year. He played in 16 games the year before that, 15 the year before that, played in all 17 the year before that, but only played in 1 game in 2020. I wouldn't necessarily label him as injury prone, but again, compared to Terry McLaurin, who hasn't missed a game since 2020, You know what I'm saying? Come on now. It's a difference there as far as health. And also shouts out to Josh Taylor. He said this deal could hurt Terry McLaurin's numbers as far as leverage and everything like that. Yes, Terry is better, but this is still the business side of what the market is. So that's kind of like the middle. Again, Burgundy Blog feels like Terry McLaurin is the same as Courtland Sutton. Some people may even take Courtland Sutton over Terry. I disagree with that. And then, of course, you have me saying that Terry is better, especially by eye test. Yeah, they're the same age, but Terry has been the far more healthy receiver. And then you have the middle where it's like, well, yeah, Terry may be better, but at the same time, when you're looking at the stats and the age, this is probably his market right here. And then when you look on the screen right now, shouts out to George Carby for pointing this out and saying that maybe Neil Greenberg was on to something. From this chart, you can see why McLaurin will be arguing for over $30 million per year, because statistically, he's just as productive as Metcalf, Wilson, and Higgins. But you can also see the Commander's point of view due to his age, where receivers are much more in the $23 million range when you're comparing his age instead of his stats. Stats, $30 million or more. Age, around $23 million per year, which is actually where McLaurin currently sits with his contract right now before he signs this extension. Splitting the difference would put him somewhere between $27 to $28 million on average if they were to meet somewhere in the middle. And George Carmy also said a compromise for Terry McLaurin may be towards $28 million. Peters has been resolute on what he wants to pay Terry, and he appears to have a good pulse in the league, especially with, again, I'm just going to assume and give him credit that he probably knew that this Courtland Sutton deal was on the horizon weeks ago when he wasn't even talking to Terry McLaurin. And then also shouts out to Jay Daniels MVP. He brings up a good point. He said the issue with that is that would Terry be willing to accept a contract that is less annual per year compared to a wide receiver 2 like T. Higgins, who is making $28.75 million? That's a good point. Why would Terry accept anywhere near the same amount of money that a wide receiver 2 like T. Higgins has made? But at the same time, George Carmy brings up a good rebuttal. I hear you. I suppose the counter argument to that is that this is McLaurin's third contract. While this is only the second contract for T. Higgins, who is significantly younger than Terry McLaurin, the second contract is usually the big money payday anyway, and Terry McLaurin technically already got that with his second contract that he's still currently on right now. He's fighting for a third. And then shouts out to Sir the Shooter. I'm right with him on this one, 100%. He said when Terry gets the bag and is considered overpaid, I'm definitely going to be turned. It ain't my money, but hey, the demon home. And that's where I'm at. I'm like somewhere in the middle where, like, yeah, I mean, I would agree that somewhere around $33 million is an overpay, but at the end of the day, if we get a notification, Terry signs an extension for $33 million or something like that, $34 million, I'm gonna be like, that's an overpay, but at the same time, I will be happy that it's done and we can put this behind us. I'm right with Serge right there. And then also, moving on, here y'all go. Y'all can hear from Terry himself. He was at practice earlier today, and again, I'm gonna do my full breakdown of everything that went down at practice, position group by position group, showing y'all the clips of the throws from Jaden Daniels, the catches from everybody, the defense, and all of that type of stuff. So stay tuned for that. And our boy JCM is balling out. But from this same practice earlier today, Scott Abraham talked to Commanders wide receiver Terry McLaurin after the practice. He asked him 2 questions. How close are you to working out a deal? And also, being at the facility, how does that improve the dialogue? Terry only gave him one answer: taking it day by day.
Terry, how much closer are you to working out a deal?
We're just taking it day by day.
Being here in the building, though, how does that improve the dialogue?
Just taking it day by day.
And then you have this picture right here of Terry McLaurin and his agent, Buddy Baker, having a conversation. And again, it's just really weird. And Grant Paulson also pointed out the fact that he would love to be a fly on the wall as far as this conversation goes. But it's really weird to pull up to a practice with your agent. You're not practicing and you're just standing around signing things with the fans, and then your agent is there. That's like a really weird situation. Pretty sure Adam Peters walked right by them, probably didn't even make eye contact or say hello. Like, what? Terry, you cool, but your agent, you know, I'm pretty like honestly, the agent is the holdup in a lot of this. I'm pretty sure Terry in his heart would be willing to take less money than what the agent's asking for, but the agent is probably asking for way more money. Remember, I've already told y'all this. Like, Terry McLaurin's agent, Terry McLaurin is the golden child. He is the golden ticket. Terry is the biggest client of Buddy Baker by far. He also had, Jeremy Chin is also signed with the same agent. You saw the Jeremy Chin situation when he ended up leaving and everything like that. So he's probably getting terrible advice from this agent right now. But most importantly, this agent is probably accepting no less than any penny that he is asking for right now, because he's trying to set a certain standard for, I got Terry McLaurin this much money. Now everybody around NFL league circles, agents, GMs, head coaches, they have to respect me more now because now I got Terry this much money. Like, he's going to have have it everywhere on his Twitter. He's probably gonna have signs at his house. Anywhere you look and ask, he will have Terry McLaurin propped up as like a statue. This is the one that got me respected as an agent. Because if you look out, we already did like a week ago, I showed you the rundown of all of his clients. Terry McLaurin is the highest paid by far, and that's before he even gets this contract extension. That's the current contract that he's getting the money right now, to where he's skipping training camp practices. And that contract is the most by far that this agent has right now. And I think this guy really isn't doing Terry McLaurin well. I think he's going selfishly. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's looking out for Terry somewhat, but I feel like this is primarily motivated by the fact that he's trying to set a certain standard of me as an agent can get people paid this much. I feel like it's far more that than actually seeking out Terry McLaurin's best interest. And shouts out to Rio Robinson. I agree. He said this agent out here representing the likes of Rio Robinson out here. Someone get Terry on the phone with Rosenhaus, Mulligetta, or Rich, or whoever. You know what I'm saying? I completely agree, man. I think if Terry McLaurin would have just suddenly fired his agent and get a new one, I wouldn't be surprised if the deal gets done way sooner. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets done later that day. I really feel like this agent is the big holdup. So while a lot of people are getting mad at Terry, and yes, some of this does fall on Terry, some of this falls on AP, I feel like all of our anger should all be combined and centered at that agent, Buddy Baker. And then also, before we get up out of here, Adam Schefter also reported that I don't think the Commanders have any interest in trading Terry McLaurin today. We'll see if anything changes over time, and I'm pretty sure they have no interest in trading them ever. I firmly believe that. We've heard multiple reports of that, even though they're not seeing eye to eye on the money and the same value on Terry McLaurin's production and future play and things like that. I don't think there's any consideration to trade the guy at all right now. But shouts out to Mike Hall. He said it doesn't make sense for a team that has Super Bowl aspirations in 2025 to trade a guy like Terry McLaurin. But for a team with only 5 picks again in 2026, looking to get younger and expand on the core players and make a run in 2026, maybe not necessarily 2025, he's basically like, think about it. But nah, for real, trading Terry is out of the question. I'm assuming and admittingly hoping, not gonna lie, I'm hoping that this deal gets done pretty soon once both sides stop being so stubborn. But I just wanted to let you know towards the end of this video, Terry's not going anywhere trade-wise. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you love everything discussed video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all the content. You made it this far in the video, man. I salute you. Really appreciate you. I mean, that's big love right there to make it all the way through these long videos that I'm always doing. And also, of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about this whole Terry McLaurin situation. How much money are you willing to offer him? How do you feel about comparing Terry McLaurin to DK Metcalf by stats? How do you feel about comparing Terry McLaurin to Courtland Sutton by stats and age? How do you feel about every point that was made in this video? Do you agree or disagree? Which side are you on? And again, most importantly, at this point where everything stands, how much money are you willing to offer Terry McLaurin? What is the very most you're willing to give Terry McLaurin and be okay with it? So let me know all of that. Really appreciate y'all. Leave a like on the way out. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.